The Witcher Season 2 is almost here. It'll be on Netflix in December, 2 years after the first season premiered. Production of The Witcher Season 2 was slowed down by the global health situation, but the Netflix show managed to wrap up filming in April 2021 and is now deep into post-production with a December 17th, 2021 release date. However, a release date is far from the only thing fans should be getting excited about before we make a return trip to the continent, as we've got lots of details, clips, images, and more on the upcoming season, all of which will change everything, and here's why. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos that we post. The final episodes of Season 1 of The Witcher find Sintra in flames and Geralt heading into the forest tracking Ciri, but he runs into a group of neckers whose bites are poisonous. He fends them off, but one still ends up biting him and he begins to hallucinate. However, a merchant named Jurga patches him up as best as he can, then takes him to his home. We also then get to see the mages who followed Decide Sodden Hill, the last barrier between Nilfgaard's army and the north. At first, it looked like the mages were going to lose the battle, but Decide tells Yennefer to let loose her chaos, which she does and sets the hillside ablaze. Jurga's house just happens to be the same one where Ciri is staying after the events of the previous episode. Ciri dreams about Geralt and Yennefer, and she knows that Geralt is looking for her. She runs into the woods, but Geralt follows her. In the woods, they finally meet, and Ciri asks Geralt who Yennefer is. With all that said, The Witcher is set to pick back up December 17th, 2021, which was announced during WitcherCon in July. It may be 2 years between seasons by the time it drops, but the larger gap between seasons shouldn't concern fans. Executive producer and showrunner Lauren Hisrich explained that the added time was only good for the show, saying she wants to make sure that everyone on our team gets the time to do their job and do it to the best of their ability. So we're making sure we have lots of built-in cushion time for season 2 so we don't cram anything in the last minute. Filming for the new season finished a while earlier, and to celebrate, Netflix shared a behind-the-scenes video featuring Cavill and showrunner Lauren Schmidt, Hisrich, teasing what's to come. None of us ever experienced a television season like this before, I'm sure. We can't wait to show you what Geralt and Ciri and Yennefer and Jaskier and all your favorites have been up to since we left them at the Battle of Sodden Hill. Along with the announcement of the release date for Season 2 of The Witcher, WitchCon gave us all sorts of new details on the upcoming season, and one of the most exciting first looks we receive is of the new Witchers joining the cast. In Season 2, we'll get at least 4 new Witchers that fans will know from the books and the games, including Vesemir, who will be played by Kim Bodnia, Eskel, who will be played by Basil Einbez, Lambert, who will be played by Paul Bullion, and Cohen, who will be played by Yasin Tur. Hisrich teased a bit of what we can expect from the new Witchers in a previous interview. Probably my favorite additions for Season 2 are the new Witchers, she said. Really, in Season 1, we got to know Geralt, and he's our prime example of a Witcher. And then there's another Witcher, Remus, who we meet in episode 103, who quickly dies. So it was, for us, really about getting Geralt back to his roots and sort of learning where he came from, and what his story is, and what his sense of family is. When I talk about The Witcher, I always talk about how these 3 characters come together. Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer, they come together as a family. It's the most important part of the series for me, Hisrich said. And when you start to imagine someone's family, you need to understand their family of origin. Sometimes that's a mother and a father, sometimes that's blood relatives. For Geralt, it's his brothers. It's the brotherhood of the witches. So I'm really excited to get back in and meet Vesemir, his father figure, for the first time, and all these men that he was raised with since he was 7 years old. All the other Witchers make appearances in the books and games, though their roles in these stories vary. Eskel's fate might already be known thanks to some previous reports, but many are still eager to see all of them in action when Season 2 finally hits. Netflix's Geek Week may have offered up a handful of mini teasers, but now we've got the real thing. The first full trailer of the new season charts Ciri's latest journey, having been reunited with Henry Cavill's Geralt. The Child of Surprise is headed to Kaer Morhen to help hone her skills alongside other Witchers, including newcomer Lambert. Much of what made the first season such a success remains. The sound of swords clanging and monsters lurking in the shadows will be enough to draw most fans back into the fold. Happily, Yennefer's back too. Her disappearance at the Battle of Sodden Hill thankfully wasn't fatal, but it's not quite clear if her path will cross with Geralt once more now that we're only on one single timeline. Speaking on what's to come, Netflix released a teaser for The Witcher Season 2 plot. Convinced that Yennefer's life was lost at the Battle of Sodden, Geralt of Rivia brings Princess Cirilla to the safest place he knows, his childhood home of Kaer Morhen. While the continent's kings, elves, humans, and demons strive for supremacy outside its walls, he must protect the girl from something far more dangerous, the mysterious power she possesses inside. And based on some photos captured by Redania Intelligence during filming, it sure looks like Season 2 will include the Wild Hunt. The Wild Hunt are the final enemies, and subtitle of The Witcher 3, while readers of the novels will recognize them from their pursuit of Ciri beginning in the 4th book. Time of Contempt. We don't know just yet how large of an appearance these spooky riders will make. We've also been told that the plot of Season 2 will be much more linear. Now that all of The Witcher's main characters are together together in one place, and one at a time, Season 2's timeline will be much easier to follow. Hisrich explained in AMA with fans. That said, the simpler timeline lets the writers use time in a way that they couldn't see in Season 1. Season 2 will also dig deeper into Gihir and Fringilla, the bad guys of the plot thus far. What I would say is that Season 1 is very much about building blocks. It's about constructing the world and setting up these characters and putting them on paths and knocking those dominoes over. When you get to Season 2, all those things start to come to play, which is that characters start meeting each other, sometimes getting along, sometimes not. All these things were set up, Geralt and Yennefer, Geralt and Ciri, Yennefer and Ciri, all of the different kingdoms that you just barely hear about in Season 1 start rising to the surface in Season 2, she continued. So the storytelling is a little more intense in a way and maybe a little more focused and driven in the journeys that we're telling in Season 2. Speaking on Reddit, the Witcher boss explained, the narrative structure was put in place so that we could tell Geralt's short stories, while Ciri and Yennefer could also be part of the action. Their stories don't happen simultaneously, so we knew we needed to play with time a bit. This will definitely change in Season 2 as their stories have begun to converge. Chatting in an interview, Hisrich expanded on that the stories will be told in a much more linear fashion. They won't be all one story, it's not like all three are together and happy all the time, but I do want to employ some different ways to look at time series-wide. I think that there's a whole lot that we couldn't fit into Season 1. There are different short stories that I would love to highlight and focus on. We may end up doing those in the future via flashback, for instance. But no, we won't have things happening across 100 years at the same time anymore. With that said, that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching.